So if I'm afraid to ask you, hey, you want to go to the park with me because I think I'll be rejected, then you think if you say, I think I'm going to go to the park, or I heard you were going to the park, and then waiting for an invitation or waiting for
You gonna
something.
be waiting. You gonna be waiting.
That is how it happens for some, but then they feel like they weren't out on a limb. They didn't ask. They don't feel, that their ego
it's
is
like
still
this
intact.
safety, so to say.
Implying something that I want done is very different than me asking to have something done. For example, if I see a cup on the counter and in your presence I say, that cup, I don't think it's supposed to be on the counter. That is not the same thing as me saying, excuse me, I was wondering if you could put that cup away. And yet somehow we get in the habit of implying things instead of asking. I imply that I want you to do something for me. I imply that I want the cup put away. And if you don't do it, I get upset. But here's the thing. It's not really fair for me to get upset at you not doing something that I never directly communicated. Even though it's easy to rationalize and be like, well, you should know. No, you shouldn't know unless I ask directly. And as much as I might want you to think the same way that I do, there are no two people who think exactly the same way who will always know entirely of what the other person is thinking, feeling, or even what they want or need.
Things like right now, because I've discovered these wave conjugations, every person on the planet that's been thinking about it will now have ideas concerning, but not just us, but all humanoids throughout the entire universe will now get that same resonance and be able to apply it like the experiments with the rats.
Right.
You teach a rat something here in London, and then in New York you find the rats are doing the same thing.
Right.
Spontaneously, because of the morphic resonance, because we are all connected on this ether, and that waveform that's the consciousness. We are all just one great being.
Yeah.
That's what they forget. We're not separate. The universe is probably one cell inside of some super organism.
Right.
And we're just little who, little who's like Horton hears a who and trying to make sense of it. And it's a beautiful thing that we're making sense of it. But everything is just one great being. We're all God.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tavares of the Sun, and we're talking about the many gifts that we have been given through our experience of our bodies and our souls in these bodies, and the many things that we have access to, including our psychic gifts, as well as many others. And our reluctance to use them in their most powerful way, where we operate with the integrity and the discipline that gives us the ability to take action and use our gifts to the highest expression. And Tavares, before we begin, will you call for the truth?
Well, certainly. We encourage you to join us in this call for the truth. Should we call forth the frequency of truth to come forward? Should we call to see the truth in all that we see? Should we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Should we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Should we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience?
So sometimes we'll be talking to someone and we'll want them to do something, but we know that it may not be palatable for them. So we will speak to them in the unseen with the understanding that they're not psychic, they won't know what I'm really doing. So we'll say things like, I really would like to go for a ride to the park.
You going to the park? Man, you driving? I want to go to the park too. I'd like to go.
And so we kind of leave things so that this is a form of manipulation, a slight form of manipulation. But what it does is it denies your ability to honor your own gifts, and it denies the ability for you to see another's gift, because it becomes evident that you're speaking to them without speaking to them directly.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if you can elaborate more on the manipulation part, because I think some people don't see it as such.
The idea of being indirect is a way of cloaking the fear that you have to say or do a thing because of whatever your own weakness is.
Ooh.
So if I'm afraid to ask you, hey, you want to go to the park with me because I think I'll be rejected, then you think if you say, I think I'm going to go to the park, or I heard you were going to the park, and then waiting for an invitation or waiting for
You gonna
something.
be waiting. You gonna be waiting.
That is how it happens for some, but then they feel like they weren't out on a limb. They didn't ask. They don't feel, that their
It's
ego
like
is still
this
intact.
safety, so to say.
But this is all fear. This
Mhm.
is all varying levels of fear. People do it in business.
Yes.
People do it, socially. People do it with their families. But mostly what is not accepted or understood is that we are all psychic. There are no secrets. The truth always comes out. And that you don't save yourself by making yourself less clear, by making yourself more obscure, by making yourself less understandable, by making us guess what you want. You have not made yourself bigger.
Yeah.
You have made yourself smaller.
Bling, bling, bling.
Yes, as a matter of fact. So this is a common practice, and we wanted to talk about it because it really is a diminishing of self.
Mm.
We are all capable of knowing many things, and there's mountains and mountains and thousands of years of records that prove it. That we imprinted upon every atom in our body is not only our abilities and our gifts, but also our gender is imprinted upon it. That we are holographic beings. We are part of all that is. Everything that all that is in us. Maybe it's inactive, but it's there. And it's imprinted on every aspect of us because we are a reflection of what we are, and that is a hologram. And in the hologram, every gram of it is the whole of it. So if I come from that knows all, I have the ability to know at least more. And so once you recognize that, then you honor self, and that automatically honors who you're talking to. Like, oh, I'm human, you're human, we both got the same imprint, we're both from all that is, we both have the ability to be more. Then you don't feel the necessity to be afraid to say or to hide your true intent. And then you become greater. So the solution is in the act of understanding. The solution is in the clarity of who you are and what you are part of and how that manifests in your experience. How is it that you cannot be what you are made from? How is it that if you are made from the earth and from the crystals in the earth that amplify and make everything greater, that you are not that? We are crystalline beings and electrical beings as well. We are also magnetized. We have all of those qualities. And when we deny one, it affects and denies others.
It's interesting. So I want to take it back a little bit. You were saying how thought imprints and communicates with the cells, the spaces, everything. So essentially there's a constant form of communication and a relaying of information that's happening whether we have conscious awareness or not. Hence is why I was sharing with our camera lady about how if you've ever noticed when you're in the store and you feel like someone's staring at you, you turn back and then they break the gaze and look away. Oh my gosh, they see me looking. But just how consciousness works and thought transference, and that's when you're in the same space. But I also see where this is happening through time and space, when we're separated, or in different locales within time and space. And we essentially have the capacity to be in communication. And I have come to the understanding that everyone is in communication at varying levels, where even non-initiates, people have those moments. I was just thinking about you and you called me, and that level of connectivity with that understanding of reality. But essentially that everyone is interfacing at varying levels. So would you speak a little bit more about that reality?
Well, that's what we call mass consciousness.
Hmm.
You know, everything is frequency, everything is vibration, everything is vibrating, and those who you resonate with that same vibration, you are in direct contact with them. So when we do healing work, and we do it at a distance, we're contacting the feel of the resonant energy from whatever the object or the target is of our thought pattern, and then we connect with that and we influence that waveform. This is how everything is done. This is what your doctor does. When he comes into the office in his white coat, in his ritual, the nurse comes in, they close the door, then he walks in, and in this ritual of this communication of frequency, then he looks at your chart and he tells you you're okay, and then you are, and then you leave. You know, it has the ritual attached to it in that case, as going to court, and the judge has on the black robe, and he hits the gavel, and then you see the structure of the courtroom. This is all ritual, and it is all a communication of energy. I am the one in authority. You are the one who is beneath me. You are not, you know, you are subject to what I decide will happen to you. It is all communicated quite clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who is the authority, and the teacher stands in front of the room, the class is in the seats together. The communication is physical, it is mental, it is psychic.
Yes.
You know, the doctor who walks through the ward where the patients are contagious and he does not get the contagion is because he understands that he is not of the frequency of the ones who are sick. He is the frequency of the ones who heal.
Yeah.
And so he is immune to the frequencies of the illness because he carries the frequencies of health, and then he talks to other people who are in the same frequency set that he is in, and they all play golf together.
And all of this is happening in the background.
This is all
being
happening in front of us.
By through thought, through the biology, through the environment, the uniform, the roles, titles, badge, etc.
Or it's the same thing in the social setting when you walk into a bar and then someone walks in and they're dressed a certain way. The ritual is that, you know, they have low cleavage or short dresses or high heels, or they sit at the bar and they look your way.
Communication. Buy me a drink.
The communication started when they got out of the car, maybe while they were getting dressed.
Yeah, through time and space. See, this is the thing that people,
Yes.
I feel as though it's not readily understood that there's a reverberation in a ripple
Yes.
in communication into the anticipation of what will be before actually
Yes.
being there. I don't really want to use the language future, but for lack of a better phrase, you know, this before you even in the experience, you've already kind of like.
Well, yes, go ahead.
Or may I use this example? And I think this may help because we perceive time as linear. The A, B, and C unfoldment of each step is all one idea. It's all in the field. Versus like, all right, A happened, I put on the dress. B happened, I got the Ubers. C happened, I showed my cleavage at the bar. You know, equals D, I got my drink or my number, I don't know, whatever it is.
Or it can be looked at from the point of view of, in the moment of your power, when you decided to go, you were in a moment of power. Then you got in the shower, you were in your moment of power. You're getting yourself prepared. Then you put on your cologne, you're in your moment of power. Then you take your moment of power, you're in the car in your moment of power. Then you walk into the place, you are still in the moment of your power each time in that moment. And so, yes, there is that momentum of my moments are going to come together, and I'm going to end up at the club. Yes.
We're not advocating for the club. This is just an example for you viewers. Just saying, because you know how people, I'll say go to the club. No. So free will.
The idea is to recognize that we have power. We are powerful beings. We are made of of the things of this system of the earth. All of these things have power. We have the same speed of thought transference as the neutrinos that move from one planet to the next. We are not limited except by our own limitations. So when we limit ourselves to think, I cannot say I want to go with the group that's going somewhere because I think I'll be vulnerable, we lose power and we become less able to speak that we don't become less, but we become less able to initiate that power in the next circumstance.
Yeah.
And so this is issue, because when we don't give ourselves the power, then we deny power to the rest of our frequency set, the rest of those who we interact with.
Yeah, which would be the power to
Yes.
say yes or no, or to engage.
Or to even acknowledge that they know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know, even that acknowledgement, if I sit somewhere, because I am aware of what people were thinking, then I see that other people are thinking thoughts too. And that gives them power, and it empowers me. And sometimes I'll look over and they'll smile at me and I'll smile at them. We know exactly what we're thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Without having to say a word.
Yes.
So that, and which is
an
very
empowering
interesting
experience.
phenomenon. Yeah.
And we're not moving in the unseen. I'm not pretending that I don't see you. I'm not pretending I can't see your thought. I'm not pretending that I don't know what's going on.
So let's talk about this pretending part, because we were discussing earlier about how for the people who subscribe deeply to the understanding of, we're psychic, thought transference and all that good stuff, I have seen within my experience where it appears as if it's like one-sided. Like, people think that I'm psychic, I could pick up on other people's thoughts, but as if their thoughts are cloaked and they can't be seen by others. And it kind of ties into the idea of projection, of what you mentioned earlier, and there's like a veil, but
and that moves into delusion too.
Well, yeah, swimming in the sea of Delulu. Indeed.
So it is accurate that many who have discovered that they have this and are emboldened by it, and they are made greater by it, and they feel better and they are richer from it, sometimes don't attribute it to their fellow person.
Yeah, because if we think about what you were sharing of like the source of the mechanics, where thought is impressed upon every cell, everything is communicating, so this is embedded in the fabric of our reality, so how could it be embedded only in you and not in me? What will make you think that my cells ain't communicating with your cells?
The idea of consciousness is not well understood. Everything that is within your perceived reality is your consciousness. So if you're in my perceived reality, then we're a match already. So I honor you. That's why we say in Lakesh, we honor that you are there. We are one. That's the namaste. The whole idea is that I recognize you're in my frequency set. You're in my consciousness. So we're sharing space here. Yeah. So honor and respect.
So when I hear that, I'm like, how deep or how shallow is that truth for people?
It's a matter of maturity. It's a matter of, have you grown into that idea yet? Like, we're all matriculating our educational process on the earth plane in the third dimension, and mostly wanting to go beyond it to a higher level. That's the purpose of this experience that we're having, is to grow beyond it.
How can people grow into maturity with this greater reality of, look at my other shelf sharing space with me? Because the way you said it was poetic. It even expanded me, because I'd be stretching for the oneness, but the way you said it just really landed.
It's so important to recognize that everything is a frequency match. That even when you don't like something, that when someone comes into your reality that you are offended by, that is in some way your consciousness acting out outside of you to reflect back to you the holographic reality of who you actually are. Yes. That is the truth of reality and consciousness. So when you do that and you mature into it, you're like in honor of it, like, oh, look at that aspect of my consciousness. Like, oh, it's like I drew a picture and didn't know I drew it. It's like, look at how beautiful, look at how exquisite it is. Look at what a rascal that is. Yeah. Look at that little rascal bit of me, acting out in front of me. To clean that up a little bit so that it can show up a little better. We need to be a little bit more lighthearted about it, and in that lightheartedness, there's the opportunity to see and love self. So looking out at self, acting out in whatever the behavior is, and then recognizing that it is within you, and then sending what is within you, the warm hug or the smile of, oh, I have a little bit more to work on, or, I really like myself. I really like that part of me I see outside of me. Good work.
Yeah.
And the rascal part, I need to get spanked.
Yeah. It sounds a little paradoxical, but accepting that it's you makes it less personal, even though that in and of itself is more like personal. But the reality that, look, that's me, that's my other self. And I think, like you say, the lightheartedness of where you're not so annoyed or how dare they, I think it removes, or let me just kind of shift, it helps prevent releasing unnecessary power or giving up power to an idea that's really not feeding and supporting you. When you catch yourself like that.
If you see something outside of you that makes you drop out of the frequency of joy and happiness, then it is your contrast. It is your opportunity.
Yeah.
That is your opportunity to see it in a way that it's not detrimental to you, and that you can make note of what needs to change within you. This is a deep truth. And we understand it at varying levels. And the bigger idea is that when you have gotten to the point where you can see that, this is when you are creator. When you recognize you are creating your experience consciously, unconsciously, from past lives, from your greater DNA, however it's being created, it has to do with you are the nodal point, because it is your reality. So that enlarges you, because then you recognize you are creator. So this is different than a vision board. This is different than tearing out somebody else's pictures that they set up and that they had a stylist for and they got a model for. And this is your reality in front of you, is your creation. So if you abuse yourself in your reality with your other selves, if your other selves are unpleasant for you, this is an opportunity for you to do a self-inventory. It's the first of the year. We recommend this. You're having unpleasant experiences with others. What have you done to change that? Sometimes moving house is all that needs to happen. Sometimes saying no is all that needs to happen. Sometimes deep reflection, you can see in yourself how you have done that same thing to someone else. And then you can release it. You can forgive yourself for what you are or have been, and call for a greater experience from you. And then those who come into your reality will serve you in that way. Can you follow that?
Yeah. It's landing. It's giving so many different truths and understandings to the solution of how to practically look at this, and I feel like it can be applied on a variety of different levels, whether this is people who are practitioners or everyday people, to stretch to see your family members or your coworkers as your extended self, and take that responsibility and power.
I like what you were saying about seeing someone knows they have a power, or they have developed their psychic ability, and they're very much all about that, and then they kind of forget that other people are looking at them with their own psychic ability. I think this is an excellent mirror. Mm-hmm. Like, we develop ourselves, we think we're beautiful, but do we see others as beautiful?
Yeah.
We think we're intelligent, but do we see other intelligent beings? Are we missing some of the aspects that would make us have a richer, more satisfying experience if we could transfer our internal understanding to our external understanding, noting that it's all you?
Ooh, sound like real embodiment.
Yes. Yeah,
For
so
sure.
I think this is a great way to begin the new year, looking at this idea, because everybody has something that is annoying to them about others, but it's really aspects of themselves that are either acknowledged or unacknowledged, that may be in their lifetime, or it may be in their lineage, or it may be in their past lives, but it shows up as part of their full package.
That's the ultimate truth right there. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where it came from, your mom, your past life, several hundred lifetimes ago, it's showing up, it's you.
People often ask me, they say, I think I've got somebody else's stuff. I'm like, yes and no. Like, you accepted someone else's stuff, so you get to wear that outfit.
Yeah.
So it's yours now. The outfit's yours, it fits you. So it's up to you to move it out of your experience. So even if it came from your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, which it may have, if you had rejected it, you wouldn't have it. So it's just a way for us to tidy up the details of our own consciousness, and so that we start to see what we want to see in our extended reality.
That's a powerful visual. The way you worded it, tidy up our consciousness.
Yes.
Because this is consciousness. We're looking at consciousness. Let me clean that up. That rascal self. Or this is looking orderly over here.
Yeah.
I think it's a very appropriate way, because oftentimes I find that it's a challenge of how to perceive certain things, right?
Yeah.
And again, the feelings and the personalism that comes involved with, like you say, I feel like somebody sent something to me, these type of things that deflect the responsibility of being creator, as you say.
I was just talking to a client this morning, and I was sharing with her the same dedication and determination that your aggressor or abuser has is your determination to stay that way.
Mm.
It's equal. So you have to rise above it to neutralize it. You have to choose to care more for yourself, to love yourself more, so that you won't be mad at everybody else. Otherwise, you get to stay mad and your frequency constantly drops, and then you have more compounding experiences that take you further down the rabbit hole that you don't want to go down. But the solution is to raise yourself up. We encourage everyone to call for the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The divine feminine calls for honor, respect, and gratitude. The divine masculine, we call for that to come back into our world, bringing us integrity, discipline, and action. We are, as my fingers intertwine, the divine masculine and feminine together. Honor, respect, and gratitude, discipline, integrity, and action. This makes us the polarity of creation that can create life. Those two together. So that's what we'd like to leave you with for the new year.
Carpool?
Yes. Will you ask the question about whatever you want to ask the question about, and tell us what it is?
To see the truth as it relates to embracing that we are the creators of our reality.
Embracing, to see the truth, a card to share with us how we can see the truth of how we are the creators of our reality. And the card is?
It's a funny pun, but it's truth. Throat chakra, call for the truth so that you may be free.
So shall we all use our throat chakra and have the courage to call for truth in everything? Shall we have nothing less than the truth in 2025 and beyond? Thank you. We encourage you to come back and visit us again. We are starting a new year of 2025 and really encouraging all of our audience to join us with comments and to interact with us this year. Thank you. With honor, respect, and gratitude in Lakesh and Veritas, oneness and truth.